Today we are going to review inequalities. Here is an overview of inequalities. This is in your journal from lesson 3.1. So you're more than welcome to go look back at it or pause this video and look through this. So here's our first example. We know there's an inequality and it's represented by the number line. So looking and using our symbols up here, we have to figure out what the inequality is supposed to say. The first thing we can look at a number line is the circle. If it is an open circle, it is not equal to. If it is a closed circle, it means equal to. So that's something very important to remember. So since 10 right here, negative 10, has the open circle, we know it has to be either greater than or less than. We cannot use the equal to because it is not filled in. So we can cross those out. Now that we have it narrowed down to those two, we should be able to figure it out. We can see that all the numbers to this side of negative 10, all the numbers to the right are bigger. Negative 10 is the lowest this goes. It stops there with that open circle. Everything to the right is what x could be. So when we write our inequality, typically I like to start with the x first. So we would write x, and since we said everything to the right, all these numbers are bigger than negative 10, we would say x is greater than negative 10. Now, this can be written with negative 10 first. You would just have to flip the sign. So it'd say negative 10 is less than x. The thing that you need to remember, because both of these answers are correct, the negative 10 is on the smaller side. The negative 10 is on the smaller side. It always has to be able to be read for it to say the same number sentence. So as long as negative 10 is the smallest one, you could write it either way. So here we have to solve the inequality. We're going to do this just like we do an equation. The only difference is we need to remember when we have a negative with the x right here, or the variable, then it has to flip this sign. So since the negative is with the variable, we have to flip this sign. That's something you should do automatically. So it is not greater than, it is going to be less than. So we only do that again when there is a negative with the variable. If there is no negative, then we leave the sign the same. So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw our line down the equal sign or the inequality sign, and then we solve just like we normally would an equation. We find what is not with x, so negative 10 is by itself. 2x is here, so since that has the x, we're going to start with negative 10 first. So now we're doing the opposite of negative 10, which would be plus 10. So negative 10 and plus 10, those cancel out. What we do to one side, though, we have to do to the other. So we have 4 plus 10 to get 14. We're going to bring down the negative 2, x. Now we have to divide. We're going to divide by negative 2. I saw a lot of people mess this up on their 10.1s. Negatives have to stay. We can't divide negative 2 by positive 2. You have to divide by the exact same number. So since we divide by negative 2 on that side, we divide by negative 2 on this side. These will cancel out. 14 divided by negative 2 gives us negative 7. So we get x is less than negative 7. So make sure we have that inequality sign looking the right way. We flipped it again because of the negative. So always look at that first. Here's our last example we're going to go over together. It says Hannah is saving for a $350 cell phone. She already has $60 and plans to save an additional $20 per week. Write an inequality that could be used to determine how many weeks Hannah will have to save before she can buy the cell phone. So when we are doing an inequality, we still are using the form y equals mx plus b, just like an equation. The only difference is the equal sign is going to be an inequality. So it's going to be less than or greater than. We just aren't sure yet. So let's start highlighting. We know that our y right here, that means total. We know the m stands for the multiple or the per, the each, the every, or the thing that happens multiple times. And then the last one, the b, is our base, okay? Base, or the one-time fee, one-time thing. The thing that only happens once. So when we read back in the problem, she's saving for a $350 cell phone. So that's the total amount that she needs to save. Says she already has $60. So that's what she started with. That's her base amount. So already has 60. And she plans to save an additional $20 per week. So that's where it tells us that per. So now that we've gone through, we highlighted, and we know where those numbers go, let's plug them into our inequality. So our total was 350. We don't know which sign to use yet. We'll figure that out here in a second. We know that we have 20x plus 60. Now we need to figure out the inequality. So the way we determine is we have to realize that Hannah needs $350. She has to have that total. So $350 is going to be less than, okay? So 350 is our total. This is what she is going to save. So 20x plus 60 is what she's going to save. This has to be bigger than 350 or equal to. So that being said, the bigger side goes to what needs to be bigger. Since what she's saving is over here, and she has to have more than what the phone costs, that is on the bigger side. And then we also need an equal sign because what she saves could also be exactly 350. So she needs more than or equal to 350. So the way this is read is 350 is less than or equal to 20x plus 60. If you were going to read it in words, you could say the total amount is less than or equal to what she is going to save. If that helps you understand this a little better.